Welcome to Coffee, Culture, and the Capital with Sophia and Greg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into things that teachers need to know, what's happening in schools, what's maybe being forced on teachers to agree or say that they agree when they're taking quizzes. We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to talk about some things in regards to religious schools, special ed, and state funds, and what is happening there. But before we get into everything, Greg, we have a fun event coming up next month, September 12th. What do we have on September 12th?
Well, we have our yearly gala in Southern California. You got to come. We got Seth Dillon from the Babylon Bee. He's going to be our speaker. It should be really cool that it's cool that he's coming, but I can't wait to hear him speak. I've never heard him speak before.
Yes, and so we're so excited for it. You guys can still get tickets, get tables. You can get a VIP ticket so you can actually meet Seth Dillon, take a picture with Seth Dillon.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite nights of the year because we get together with all of our friends and just really discuss how to better save California, celebrate the wins, and just join together and pray together. And it's such a great event. And all I have to say is it's probably one of the only events CFC has that costs money. And, CFC is a nonprofit, so we do everything based off of donations. And so definitely look at attending the event, getting tickets. You guys can look at the show notes to find out more, get your tickets, bring your friends. It is such a fun night. But Greg, one of the reasons we have this gala is, again, to let people know what's going on, to get together, to celebrate the wins, to discuss what's to come next. And something we talk about a lot at CFC is parental rights, education, what's happening in schools. And we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before. We have a bunch of articles about it. We have social media posts about it. But there's a really big push on indoctrinating teachers.
Right.
What is going on with that?
Yeah, the state government up here in Sacramento is now requiring all the teachers for the next 5 years to take LGBT competency training and really to retrain them to believe and to spout all the LGBT ideology that, we've been talking about for years. And we've been talking about this on a lot of angles. Girl sports, prisons, it seems to be coming at us from every direction. And one of the ways that the state capitol seeks to change how people think is they're in charge of the education system. And so it comes through on the curriculum, but it also comes through now to the teachers themselves. They have to take this training and they have to answer these questions correctly, right? And so if you can go online and search for PRISM training, and you get a peek at the 5 or 6 different trainings that are available. But most Christian teachers don't realize that they have the right to opt out of this type of curriculum. And because there are federal and state laws that say that the employers have to provide a religious accommodation for you if you're being asked to do something that violates your faith. And how does this violate your faith? Well, you're supposed to learn about how awful your own beliefs are about sexuality and gender, and then you have to pair it back to them with test questions that you will affirm a kid's gender identity, no matter how young they are, no matter what identity they come up with, and then you must keep that secret from parents, right? And then you must use the kid's preferred pronouns. Right, that's just part of the training you go through. It's very indoctrinating, to say the least. And parents, the teachers, can opt out. And so this story I put together recently on our website. It's titled "The Faith Test California Makes Teachers Take and How to Refuse It," because there is Christian attorney organizations that are coming to the rescue. And one of them is the National Center for Law and Policy, led by Dean Broyles. And then the other one is Pacific Justice Institute, led by Brad Dacus. And they are helping teachers explain to their employers through letters how this training violates their faith, and schools are listening. So far, up to 100 to 125 teachers have been exempted. Over 20 school districts are simply saying, okay, once they get a letter from the attorney, they realize they have no leg to stand on. But sadly, so many teachers are just answering the questions the way their employer wants them to answer them, even if they disagree with the answers they're given, right? And this is a real temptation for all of us. Our employers are going to ask us to say things we know are wrong so we can keep our jobs, right? And then we come in conflict. I got to feed my family. I got to, I can't lose this job. I got a house payment. So I'll just say what they want me to say. Folks, we are obligated to follow the Lord above all else and not bow. This is just like bowing, like being told to bow down to an idol. Or, in the Romans days, worship the Caesar, right? This is what we're being asked to do. We all know it's wrong. We all know we don't believe it. And so this is the time of testing. And hey, the federal law is on our side. We have a constitution that protects religious liberty. But if we don't access it, if we don't stand up, we're going to lose it. And so go on our website. We provide all kinds of resources, how you too, if you're a teacher, can be exempt from this type of indoctrinating training. And one teacher who actually stood up and faced her employers, it was actually threatened with her job, said, hey, if you don't take the training, we're going to have to fire you. And that's when she reached out to Dean Broyles, the National Center for Law and Policy, and her pastor actually had her come up on stage, give a testimony. And so let's listen to that right now.
All right, can you share with us what happened?
Yeah. Well, I've been an educator for 18 years, high school and middle school math, and I absolutely love my job. I love and adore every single student, no matter who they are, where they come from. And in the fall, the state of California passed a bill that all secondary teachers must take a training on LGBTQ student rights. And so our district sent that information out to all teachers in January. And when I read the title, I automatically just got sick to my stomach, and I knew that this was going to be a hard thing to do. And so I opened the training just hoping it was just informational, and it wasn't. It was asking me to affirm things that go against my religious beliefs, it goes against the Bible, things that I'm not comfortable with, like maintaining confidentiality from parents. And I just knew that I wouldn't be able to take this training and pass this test. Thankfully, I have a really good friend that works in my district, and we have very similar beliefs, so we talked and we're like, we just can't do this. So we emailed our principals and said, we want a religious accommodation. That was denied. Went up to the district. A couple days later, I'm on the phone with the director of HR, and he said, look, you can't opt out. You either take this and pass this test, or you will be transferred and lose your job. I was pressured into just having someone do it for me, and come on, it's just checking a box, and I felt so convicted. I'm not a liar, right? That also goes against my beliefs. And it was hard. I cried. I have an amazing community group, join one, that prayed and counseled me. I have amazing friends and family. I called Pastor Michael, and he met with me and counseled me as well. And he told me, get on your knees and pray and literally surrender to God and fast. And so I did that. And I felt this overwhelming peace after that moment. And God just telling me, no, Kristen, this is your moment. Like, you need to stand up. And the enemy was in my head, saying, you really want to risk your job and your family and your kids? But no, this is the moment to show my kids that when you dip in that water and come out, that you are really transformed, and that you're not ashamed of what you believe, and to stand up for what is right. So I'm not part of the California Teachers Union. I opt out, which is also an option for teachers. I'm with Christian Educators Association, and so I called them and got a lawyer who was amazing, and he met with me and submitted a religious accommodation to my district, and God won the case. So I've been excused for 5 years, and I want to share that with anybody that is a believer, because you shouldn't have to compromise your beliefs and teach in a public school. We can love on those kids and teach them what we're credentialed to teach, And I'm so thankful to God, you guys. He's so good all the time, all the time, all the time. Yeah.
You know, we're talking, Greg, about, as Christians, we shouldn't be following this ideology and agreeing to it. But like you said, there's some teachers that are like, I'm just going to go along to get along. And I love that she said, I couldn't lie and mark the answers just to get done with this, because that's not part of my beliefs either. And it's so true. As Christians, we should not be going along just to get along. We are to be set apart from the world. And it is so encouraging to hear what she's been through. And then something else I love too is she did mention she had to think, okay, am I going to, is my job on the line? What's going on? And then realizing that she would want to show an example to her kids.
Right.
She would want her kids to see her stand up against this. And I think it's so often, you think, okay, I would encourage my kids or my family members or the people in my life to do what's right. And then you get faced with it. And then, it's easier to just go along to get along. And so I love that she stood up. I love that she figured out what to do. And this is something every teacher can do. Every teacher can get that accommodation. You do not have to go through this training. We have the resources to help you with that. You can look at the show notes for the links about what attorney to reach out to, how you can receive help to get out of this, because we should not, as believers, ever be going along just to get along.
Right. In kids, we're always telling them what to do and encouraging them to do the right thing. But you know what they really pay attention to? What we actually do, right? And if we are constantly telling them to, obey the Lord, follow him, don't follow your peers, don't cave into peer pressure, right? And then we cave when, our job is on the line, or we're going to be mocked, or it's going to cause us difficulty. And we just, what does that say, right? That says that you're not that serious about your faith. That's what it says to your kids. That's how they're going to interpret it. And when they get tempted to compromise, or the pressure comes and the group wants to do this and they know it's wrong, what are they going to do? They need an example, right? And another thing I was proud about is this pastor saw what that happened to his own person in his congregation, and he highlighted her as an example to follow, right? And that encourages other people to be courageous. It's really hard to do is to be courageous when you're all alone, especially as a Christian, right? You want to go to a church where, okay, if I'm going to be courageous, I want to do it in the midst of a community that's supporting me and talking about these issues. Hey, pastors, are you talking about these issues? Because if you're not publicly saying, hey, this is what we should all be doing and supporting those around us who are standing up, everybody's going to start compromising. No, who's going to stand up if you can't even get your pastor to stand up, right? Pastors, they're looking to you, right? You can't expect your congregation to be brave and stand for the Lord and stand for the Lord's values in society if you're not talking about those issues, right? Thinking, no, those are political and controversial, I'm not going to talk about that. Well, then you're just training people to be cowards, right? And when the pressure comes, they're going to collapse, right? Come on, we can do better, right? I mean, I think we're just not realizing how hostile our culture is to Christianity. And we've been trying to convince you the Capitol is really hostile. But they couch it in love and compassion, and come on, it's not that big a deal. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. And two, I just think of, there's so many Christians that I'm sure would be more willing to do what's right, to speak out, not go along just to get along, if they knew they had a pastor and a church who had their back. Right. If they knew that, okay, when I face this, I know what to do here because my pastor has talked about it, my church has talked about it. I know based off of the sermons and what my pastor says that I can stand against this and I can go to them and they have my back. Just like that teacher said, the first thing she did was reached out to her church and got talking with her pastor, and they had her back through this. And so we need to make sure that we're doing that churches are doing that. And you need to make sure you're at a church that is actually preaching the truth, teaching the truth, and would have your back in situations like this. But
Right.
that's one of the reasons we need to also be in prayer over California and over the attacks they do have on Christianity, because like Greg said, they've been coming after us and we've been trying to tell you guys. And so this year, and we've done this before, we were at the state capitol for the National Day of Prayer. We were able to pray alongside pastors and Californians and leaders. And it was such a great event. And I just want to show you guys a highlight reel from that day.
Today is not just symbolic, it is necessary. We gather here in California at a time when truth is often attacked and many elected leaders have turned away from biblical principles and common sense. Our state desperately needs prayer, courage, repentance, and truth.
Dear Lord, I've heard it often said, as California goes, so goes the nation. So, dear God, I'm asking that you would bring revival to California, that we would see a revival across this nation.
The answer for our nation is not a political party or political movement. It is not cursing or complaining, God, but the call and the answer for our nation that you clearly laid out for us is, if my people, if they who are called by my name, if they will humble themselves, if they will pray, if they will seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, you will hear from heaven and you will heal our land.
God, we do not like to see the direction things are going, but Lord, you can change things. And so we're here today as your people asking to please intervene.
Almighty God, you are on our side. We trust in you and will not be afraid. What can man do to us?
Father, we ask that you would protect our families, protect our children, release the angelic forces to go forth, for they hearken to the voice of your word. Thank you that the word declares the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and that you will continue to fight for us as we stand boldly declaring your truth. In Jesus' name we pray.
I just love the fact that we can still go to our state capitol, go on the steps of the capitol, and pray and surrender our state to the Lord. And if you missed our National Day of Prayer, we actually will be going to the state capitol again this year to pray on Sunday, November 1st at 6 p.m. We are going to have an election eve prayer vigil. So the election this year is November 2nd, as per usual. So November 1st, we will be at the state capitol Sunday night. We're going to be praying over the election, praying over our nation, praying over the state of California. So you can join us at the state capitol. There is a link to RSVP to that, and that will be in the show notes. So go check that out. Go RSVP to the event and join us to really just lay down the state of California to the Lord. And I think the next story we're going to talk about is such a good reminder about why we need to be in prayer over what's happening in our capital, prayer over what's happening across the state. Because, Greg, there's kind of an attack on the ability to pray right now through SB 685 in regards to special education and Christian schools. What is happening with SB 685?
Right. This is a bill that came about out of a response to a federal court decision that said this. Currently, if a public school cannot provide certain services to kids who have disabilities, they can turn to a private school and get those services for their kid. And the state will reimburse the private school. But California had this, this rule that, where the only people only schools that can participate are those schools who are secular and not religious at all. So in essence, they were discriminating against religious schools. And the Supreme Court has clearly said several times over the last 5 years that if you're going to hand out cash to private entities or private schools, you can't discriminate on them because they're religious. You can't say no, you can't say yes to the secular school who has a secular ideology, but then you can't say say no to the religious school. This happened in Maine, and so Supreme Court has said this clearly. So that's what happened here. So, Orthodox Jewish school wanted to provide services for disabled kids, and California said no, and now they have to, right? So this bill said, okay, all you religious schools who want to provide these services, we will let you on one condition, that you stop being religious, right? Yes, Jewish school, yes, Christian school, you can offer services to disabled kids, but you're going to have to teach all your teaching about Jesus or the Bible or the Ten Commandments or prayer. All that has to be removed. And so that's what this bill is. It's hey, yeah, you can participate, but you got to stop praying. Okay, that's not going to fly. That's just another unconstitutional. You can't tell a religious school not to be religious. So we put out articles about this, letters of opposition. We're opposing it. It's not going to fly with the state constitution, but this is what California is trying to do anyway. And they need to hear from constituents like yourself. California cannot tell religious schools not to be religious. It should be obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are wanting to call your legislators, urge them to not vote yes on this bill and to really make a difference, our goal at CFC is to make that so easy for you all. So if you look at the show notes, or if you go to californiafamily.org and our action center, we have the ability for you to call your state legislators. If you plug in your information, we tell you who your state senator is and your assembly member is. We help provide on bills scripts of what to say, of talking points on either to urge a yes vote or a no vote. And so we need you guys to use your voice to urge your legislators to vote yes on good bills and no on bad bills, because at the end of the day, they work for us. And so they need to hear from us. And so we know you guys all have busy lives and things going on, but we try to make it so simple where it takes 3 minutes to put in your information, to look at the talking points, and to click call. And so go do that. Go urge your legislators and use your voice. You have it for a reason, so let's use it. But Greg, unless you have anything else. All right. Well, with that, we will see you guys all next time.